Hey guys, Eddie and Andrew here. We're here with Lance Armstrong, Aspire4More at the Aspire Conference in Houston. Lance is actually about to go on stage.
Yep.
And we've got a bunch of entrepreneurs that are kind of waiting for you to speak to them. I'm curious, so many of them are trying to build a personal brand right now. It's a lot of what Andrew teaches and talks about. How important is it to build a personal brand?
You know, it's a great question. I mean, we also invest in founders all the time, and it's a very common question we get. Here, look, I've been able to do it through podcasting, and it was really a big part of the way. Then we could talk about it on stage.
Yeah, that'd be great.
It was really the way that it's actually a very important part of the story, but it was the way that I was able to sort of reinvent and reimagine myself. But here's the bottom line. So people can do it a whole host of ways. But the most important thing for anybody to realize is we live in 2024. Mm-hmm. Anybody can create content, right?
Yeah,
if you have my story and this, attempt to reimagine and reinvent yourself, if that happens in 2005,
sure,
it's not possible.
It's tough, yeah.
1995, not possible. In 2024, it's totally possible, right? If you imagine my life in 2005 even, I would have been sitting around waiting for, is ESPN going to call me? Is NBC going to call me? Which, of course, they never would have called.
Right.
Well, we live in a day and age where you say, you know what? I'm going to spin this up myself.
Sure.
And start creating content.
Yeah.
And now, whether or not people pay attention or listen or download or whatever you want to call it is a whole nother thing. But for very minimal cost, anybody can be a creator and create content.
Yeah, it's good.
And
really good.
So I cannot wait to crack that egg open on stage with you.
Yeah.
Because I think
it's a big part of the story.
I think podcasting is one of the biggest things that entrepreneurs miss.
Yep.
Because they feel like it either no one wants to listen to me or that's not going to get me anywhere. But we launched Aspire years and years ago actually through a podcast. Like that's where the whole thing started from.
Of course.
Was Aspire, and then it kept growing and growing, and then it got to the point where after COVID, it was like, let's go massive events with it. But podcasting is so unique inside of it. Let's talk about success for a second. There's different levels of success that people reach, and there's different ranges that people get into. But it always looks like there's like ingredients that kind of make up a successful person or a more successful person. There's lots of ingredients that make up successful people. But if you were to name maybe the top one or two that you see either in yourself or that a lot of people have, what would be those top one or two that you like?
Well, I mean, look, genetics is a big part of it.
True.
Right. So if
God-given talent, right?
Yeah. If I wanted to play in the NBA, I don't, like you're growing up, your mom always said, where there's a will, there's a way.
You can be anything you want to be.
Well, that feels good when mom says it, and it makes her feel good, but it's not true,
right.
Unfortunately. And so genetics, are a huge part of it, but also just I think from a societal and an emotional standpoint. I mean, look, I was born to be an endurance athlete, born to race a bike. But there are a lot of people that were born to do that, right? And so, but I came from this background with a single mom, just kicking and clawing our whole lives. And my mom had me when she was 17, and that was part of my DNA. That fight was part of my DNA. So you take the genetics piece, which was just I was uniquely suited to be an endurance athlete, but it's a tough game.
Yeah.
And so you could have some kid who also has that DNA or the genetics to be an endurance athlete, but also has the silver spoon in his mouth. You'd never make it. So you got to have the two, and then over time, how you combine those two and find your way in the world of sports, the world of business. We all know what that's like. Like you just have to, you got to be lucky sometimes.
There's always luck involved.
You got to be around great people.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's no different than what you guys do. I mean, you guys are, if you're investing, you're investing in ideas, but more importantly, you're investing in people.
Sure.
Right? A bad person with a great idea is not a good deal.
Yep. It's always a bad deal.
And so.
Yeah, very good. Andrew talked about the kind of ingredients to success. I'm curious, for you, you had an amazing high. You've had some really low lows. You've battled some crazy things in your life.
Yeah.
How important is it for you to define yourself versus allowing others to write the narrative and define you? Right? Because you've had to do that. Like you've had to put out there who you really are.
It's very important. As a matter of fact, somebody from y'all's team asked me what I want my walkout song to be, and it's my favorite band in the world is is a band called The War on Drugs, and they have a song which not a lot of people have heard of The War on Drugs.
No.
I love The War on Drugs.
Okay. All right.
Like, but they have a song called The Strangest Thing, and if you take the time to listen to the entire song, the last chorus of the song says, "Be the writer of your own story," and it's that's why it's my walkout song. Like I've lived a very public life that has had the ups and the downs, and now the ups again.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's my responsibility through my associations, my actions, my intent to write that story.
Sure.
Right. And again, going back to what I said, we live in 2024. If I'm creating content, I don't really need. I am the writer of the story at this point. Now, you can allow others to write the story still.
Yeah.
But that's a fumble, right? And that's what, at this point in my life, I'm trying to avoid.
Yeah.
I love it. Lance, I appreciate it, man. We're going to get on stage here. Have a great Aspire tour. We're going to crack some eggs on that podcast and that story.
I love it.
That goes right there.
I could talk a lot about it.
I appreciate you coming out, man. We look forward to seeing you on the stage. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.